Well, let me get everything that I do tight. And I know a lot of people aren't going to support these videos because I'm not a celebrity. That's fine. I don't need to be a celebrity. I don't need to be your celebrity, and I don't need to be anybody else's celebrity. Why? Because the game is rigged. I learned that the game was rigged at such a young age, and I really didn't even know that the game was rigged then. So it's not like I've lived this way all my life. I've really just started to see how the game was rigged over the last 15 years, maybe. But for the most part, I lived most of my life in the dark. In the fucking dark. And I thought I was good. I thought because I was good, I was good. But being good out here ain't really what you need to be. You can be great out in this bitch, and I've been that. But I could never reach those highest heights. I could never get that corner office with the windows. I could never get that company car. Well, I guess I did have a company car when I sold cars, but I paid for that motherfucker, so it really wasn't a company car. It was just my car that I had to give back once I was done working at that dealership. And I didn't realize being good, being great, getting numbers, making money for the company wasn't going to take me to where I needed to be. Not where I wanted to be, because I was where I wanted to be when I was there. I felt good. I felt like I was doing the right thing. But then once I realized there was no upward mobility, I had to move on. And once I moved on from the car business in general, I started to learn that the game was rigged. The game was rigged to the point where no matter how much money I made a car dealership, no matter how much money I made, the sales manager, the GM, the GSM, that dealer principal, I was never gonna be a manager at their dealership. That was the goal, right? The goal is to get to the top. I didn't want to sit amongst the salespeople for the rest of my life. I wanted some elevation. I knew elevation gave me comfort because it also gave me options, stock options. It gave me a free car versus a car that I'm paying for. Sometimes you get to the point where you rise up in a dealership so high, you get your wife a car. I wasn't married at the time. Well, for part of the time that I was in a dealership. But for you know what I'm talking about. It'll get your spouse a car. You can make a dealership so much money, they'll give your spouse a demo. I've seen it. I've been around it. But the big thing for me wasn't even about that. What it was about, I just wanted to make sure that I had everything that I needed for my family. And if I had everything that I needed for my family, I'd do anything for whatever dealership I was working at. I was always a dedicated employee. Because I knew the game. And the game was money. It wasn't how well they liked you. It wasn't having the best clothes. All right? Wasn't none of that. Wasn't running to get the manager some coffee and shit. It wasn't none of that. It was about numbers, and I brought numbers because I'm good with that. I was a great salesperson, but I was even a better people person, so that made me a great salesperson. But it didn't matter because the game was rigged. And so I've gone through all types of sales jobs in my life, and realized after a certain period of time of being the top person in the room that I wasn't going to get a manager's job. I'm like, damn, what does it take to be a manager around here? And I never wanted to just look at the obvious. I never just wanted to say, you know, they're not promoting me because I'm black. There were a lot of other variables that played in the, you know, came into play when I was in those situations. I even went as far to think I'm not a manager because of my weight. You know, few of y'all know out there, I got up to 500 pounds. Come on, man. I was 5 bills. I wasn't able to do much at that time. My knees were shot, my back was hurting. I was always aggravated, and I was always hungry. I bought into the fact that I couldn't be a sales manager at a dealership because I was fat. until I walked into a dealership one day and there was a motherfucker in there heavier than me, but he was white. And he was the GM. He was running the shit. He wasn't a sales manager. He was the GM. So he had not only rose past the sales staff, he rose past everybody, and he was running that bitch. Fat as a motherfucker. Sat down and talked to him. He gave me a job. Now, I don't know if he gave me a job because we both had the same fat spirit, or if he gave me a job because he looked at my resume and they called my references and called to a couple sales managers, and they was like, yeah, he brings growth. Good guy to have in the room. He's done this, he's done that. I don't know what it was, but he gave me the job. I don't know, 15 minutes in, he had already told me he talked to a couple of the people that I had worked for before, had a relationship with one of them. Then he asked me where I thought I saw myself in 5 years. And I said, where can you go? He was like, oh, I can go to corporate. I was like, okay. So I wouldn't push you out of your seat in 5 years if I said I wanted to be where you are. I said, absolutely not. I said, okay, well, I want to be where you are. Just like that Michael Jackson song, I want to be where you are. I think Lil Mike was talking about a girl. I don't know why he's talking about a girl that young, but that's a whole nother video. But I worked there, and I learned he was a different guy once I became an employee. But the thing was, because he knew who I was and knew what I was about, he really didn't fuck with me. But he really wanted to be a taskmaster. And that didn't work with a lot of his salespeople. But I was running with that because I was like, okay, I ain't got to do nothing outside of my character to be in line. I did what I had to do. I didn't wait my 90 days like most motherfuckers have to do to get a demo. I had a demo right when I started. I came with some shit, so I wanted some shit. But he wanted to be a taskmaster and really try to put his foot on everything, his footprint on everything. And that's not the way the store needed to be ran because you had so many seasoned people. And he strategically got people up out the paint. And as I saw how he was losing good quality salespeople, I said, you know, I'm not long here because these motherfuckers do numbers, I do numbers. We all had families and we all covered for each other and we all did a lot of shit for each other. He didn't like that. He wanted to run this shit like I control everything. Like he really wanted me to ask him, could I leave to go to my daughter's games? Could I leave to go to my daughter's concerts and shit like that? And I'm like, I'll be out of here at 5. I'm not gonna ask you to go to one of my kids' events. When they look up and I'm not there, that's a problem. Now that can either be a problem with me and you, or that can be a problem with me and them. It ain't gonna be a problem with them, so is it a problem with you? It was never an issue. Then we had a couple fucked up months, and he started doing these reviews. Started telling me my numbers had slipped. Sales was still the same, but he said my numbers would slip, because what really makes that money in the dealership is the back end money. He said, why do you think that is? And I said, because you hired a new F&I guy and he's cutting everybody's deals. He didn't like that shit. Because I knew where our money was going. I just wasn't saying anything because I figured we'd get that guy in, get him worked out, and then we figure it back out, and then we start doing our own thing. Nah. He wanted to side with the F&I guy. So deals kept getting cut. People started making less money every month. Then you start seeing people quit. Not get fired, but quit. So I was like, yeah, I'm up out of here soon. And as people quit, you know, I'd move around, get a better chair, get a better spot, da-da-dee, da-da-da. The last time I moved, I put the boxes in my closet. We had little closets at the end of our cubicle. I put the boxes that I moved my shit in my closet. I didn't get rid of them because I didn't think it was going to be long before I was gone. All these other people were gone. I'm good. I should be moving up, right? Nah. But they always wanted me to train people. And this happens with every job. They always wanted me to train people. They always wanted me to take people on tours of the place. This, that, and the other. Whatever business I've worked in, I've always been the go-to guy. The goddamn in-house concierge. Why? Because I pay attention to shit. I know shit. My numbers are right. So they hope everything that I pour into that motherfucker, I'm also gonna pour some numbers into them. You can't do that. And I figured with that, with all the training experience I had, I figured, let's see, we got another song we're gonna go to. Yeah, let's go there. With that, royalty free still, because you know YouTube. I figured it would work out for me, but it didn't work out. And it didn't work out because the game is rigged. But eventually I left. Went to another store and another store and whatever. I don't think I was ever treated as fairly as I was treated in the very first store that I worked at. You know, people didn't like giving you a car sales job back then. They looked at it as a prize thing. There's a lot of hidden things in the car business. Now any fucking moat can go be a car salesman. Any moat. Back then, you had to kind of either earn your way in or know your way in. You had to be able to talk that talk right out the jump. I took to it like a fish to water. No big deal. But my biggest problem with selling cars was I couldn't lie to motherfuckers. See, I look at myself as too good to have to lie to a customer. If I gotta lie to you to get you to buy something that ain't even mine, I ain't trying to sell that shit. Because you gonna come back here talking to me. You ain't gonna come back here talking to the motherfucker whose name is on the building. You gonna wanna talk to me. And I'm not gonna wanna talk to you because I'm not responsible for that car. The person whose name's on the building is. So, it got to be difficult to work for certain stores because certain stores are just bad stores to work for because they do a lot of underhanded shit and they're built on fallacy. So, after running through all the A lots that I felt like I wanted to work at, fucked around and worked at a couple B lots, did some brokering. I had to walk away from the business because I just couldn't tell people fucked up shit to make $1 off of them. I didn't need to. I'm too fucking good. But the game is rigged. So if that was the game, I didn't want to play that game no more. That's why I sit here right now talking to you. Stuffing Mylar packages with jellied candy, coated in cannabis, by myself. I don't even know what time it is right now. It's 8:41. You won't see it at 8:41. You'll see it whenever you see it, if you see it. But it is the BlackWatch. It's just a quick hit. I'm going to keep it under 20. Most of my videos are longer. But I just want to let you know, don't give up even though the game is rigged. Don't stop trying even though the game is rigged. It's a racist, oppressed system that you're in. Do not buy into it though. You got to buy into yourself. Because whether you in the game or not, it's still going to be rigged, right? So you can't give up. No way, no how. Besides that, you got a family to take care of. You got kids. You got grandkids. How you going to look them in the eye and say, I gave up because the game is rigged? Teach that to my grandkids so they understand. When they get in the game, it's already fucked up. Their job is to make the motherfucker better. One love.